Hey folks, my name is Josh Turner, although you may know me better as Harry Potter, or Rivers Cuomo, or McLovin, or Ferris Bueller, or Andrew Garfield, or I'm going to teach you today how to play my version of Sultans of Swing that I recorded about 5 years ago now. You can click on the box right here. I think I'm going to make a box appear right here that you can click on if you haven't seen the original version for reference. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So this is not a straight up, like, pure to the original version of this song. This is not exactly how Mark played it. But this is a version for if you're just singing and playing and you need to accompany yourself. And I'm going to divide teaching it into 3 parts. The first part is going to be chords, the stuff that the left hand is doing, which luckily is pretty simplistic. There are some unusual chord shapes, but none that are too challenging. The second thing we're going to look at is right hand technique, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of what makes this arrangement fun and interesting. And then part 3, we're going to do a sort of bag of licks, because every time Mark hits an A chord in the song, or I do, there's always some kind of or and so forth. So we're going to take a look at breaking down all of those fun little tricks as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright, so we're going to take a close look at these chords here first. The chords are very easy, and you can find them written anywhere online, really. It's going to be a D minor, bar chord, a C chord, which instead of playing like this or like this, we're going to play like this. We're going to move this bass and to the low E string, and the reason will become apparent shortly. So you're going to bar these 3 strings, and then add your pinky on the 8th fret of the low E string, and then do the same shape 2 frets down for a B flat, and then we're going to just play an old A major, using the same bar shape because we're lazy. And then repeats that. And then there's an F. You can just play it down here, which I do at some points, or you can play it up here, which I also do at some points, and that is 8, 10, 10, 10 with a bar chord there. And then back to our C. C with a little bit of F imposed over it here. This is a very Keith Richards move with the pull off. And then back down to B flat. And then D minor again. The only time that there's anything other than that is on the chorus. We are the Sultans. That's D minor, B flat, C. When it goes, then here, okay. So this sucks a little bit. This is a C chord, but so in order to play the line while playing chords at the same time, we have to wrap our thumb around here and then play this little C triad, and then we're going to do a pull off with our pinky. And the reason we wrap our thumb around is because I like to strum this part, and if you make a bar chord out of it and you try and do that, it sounds like trash. So that is a little bit of an unfortunate shape, but that's the worst one you have to deal with, so that's good news. And that pretty much covers the chord portion of the song, which is unfortunately the easiest part, but I think it gets more fun from here. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at part 2, which is the right hand technique. So as far as my right hand goes, the approach in arranging this song was kind of the idea of, like, how can we keep the driving rhythm of the band without the band? So there's kind of 2 elements to this. Your thumb is playing this thing that's kind of like a kick and bass line, this. And then you're doing this thing that like all freaking fingerstyle players are doing these days, where you are taking your hand and just kind of smacking it down on the strings to get a percussive sound, which is going to be on our beats 2 and 4. It's going to essentially be our snare drum. That's how that groove works. If you've never done this slapping thing before, it's really you're just bringing your hand down like a little claw onto all of the strings at once. The heel of your hand is going to hit roughly where the strings meet the bridge, and your thumb is going to be landing on the low E. That's the one that's going to give you the most volume, and it just takes practice to get the right amount of pressure and to get it consistent, but you'll get to a point if you do it a lot where it's hard not to incorporate it into your playing. So let's take a look at the introduction. The introduction has a lot of techniques in it that are going to crop up in the rest of the song and that are important. I'm going to start out by playing the introduction for you very, very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's take a look at that. It starts out on our friendly old D minor. And you're just going to pluck the 4 middle strings with these 4 fingers. You're going to be using these 4 fingers pretty much the whole song. And you're going to stick a slap in there. So you're going to go to the C chord. I'm just playing kind of the power chord version here. I'm leaving out the 3rd. I like to make the 2nd one just a downstroke with just like kind of strumming all the strings with your fingers to make it drive a little more. And then you're hammering your pinky and ring back on to the D minor. That's just open 5 with your index finger. And then this little lick. That's just sliding up your pinky and ring, playing the D and then the G, with a slap, index, ring, middle, and you really gotta pop off that one to make it sound like Mark. And then this kind of sucks to play. We're gonna make the shape of like what would be a G chord down here, but make it up here with this bar. So you're barring these top 4 strings with your ring on the 8th fret and your pinky also on the 8th fret, and then back to your D minor. And that's the spot in the video where I make the first absurd face, and it's really hard not to for some reason on that note. So that's just hammer on pull off over your D minor shape. Marie, what are you doing down there? Okay, so then let's take a look at the right hand during the verses. This happens a lot. It happens all throughout the song, and this is kind of one of the most important parts of the arrangement. So you're going to start on your D minor with some slaps in there. Bam, pop, bam, pop, bam, like that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're going to go to our C chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So that's very syncopated. But that's what makes it groove, is when your thumb is on the downbeats and your other 3 fingers are working on the offbeats. And the pops are filling in the gaps. So the first part of the verse, you get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park in the meantime. and then lick. And we'll obviously get to the licks in part 3. And then it repeats. South of the river, you stop and you hold everything. Lick. To our F chord. Band was blowing Dixie, double fall time. So then here what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the little Keith Richards thing. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that. Yeah, I have. Okay. Back up to the Keith Richards thing on the C chord where we do the little F. And so this is with your pinky 8, damp the A string, and then bar these 3. And you're releasing with your left hand to keep those really sharp and biting. So that's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so that's another downstroke and then pull off. And you're going to just keep doing that same kind of groove that you do over the D minor, but down on your B flat. Just, you know. That's B flat to C. With a little dampened on the low E string. That lick is taken pretty much directly from the original. Yeah. So that's pretty much the verses. And then when it gets to the "We are the Sultans," boom, boom, ba-bottom. We are the Sultans of swing. So this part is a little different. This goes. So that's D minor very quickly to C and then B. I like strumming that with my thumb. I don't really know why. And here's that bullshit thing where I have to wrap your thumb around and do the pull off. Little hammer on. 5, 8, 5. Lick mark always does. And that is pretty much it. I realize that that's not the clearest thing in the world. So if you have questions, be as specific as you can and let me know, and I will really try and answer them. All right, if you hung through that section, let's move on to the fun part, which is the bag of licks. See you in part 3. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the licks that I play at various points in the song. The licks pretty much happen in 2 contexts. They happen when we're hanging out on a D minor, or they happen when we're hanging out on an A7. And so first we'll take a look at some D minor licks, and then we'll look at some A7 licks. And you can pretty much just pepper them in at total random, just willy-nilly. So the D minor licks, we've got... let's start there. That's a nice one. So that's a slide from 5 to 7. Pinky, 5, 7, 6, 7. And the trick with getting that mark tone is really keeping that kind of feel. Going while you're playing it. It has to do with the way that the notes are emphasized. It's a tricky thing to get down, but you can do it if you start slow. Like that. And then slowly speed it up. Lick number 2. This is a great one. It's really simple, but it's just a little chromatic walk down. From, so it's 6, 5, 8, 7. Lick number 3. I want to take a look at a little thing that Mark does a lot here with his right hand that you've probably been hearing me doing. It's this thing before you actually articulate a note. He also does it here. And the way that you do this, if you have a pick, then you can just go, which is easy because then you're just damping all the strings with the heel of your hand until you hit the one that you need to pick. But when you are playing with your fingers and really to get the mark tone, what you're doing is you're going to take your index and middle fingers and you're going to play the 2 strings below wherever the string is that the lick is going to take place. So let's say that the first note is on the B string. I'm going to be playing that with my ring finger, but I'm going to use my thumb. I'm going to lay it down on the D and G strings, bear with me, and then I'm going to take my index and middle and pluck those 2 strings while it's being dampened by my thumb. And then I'm going to use my ring finger to pluck the open B string. That's what he's doing there, I'm pretty sure. It sounds right when you do it like fast. This, and it takes time to get that motion with those 3 fingers. But it's a really, I don't even know why it sounds so cool, but that's a great thing to be able to do. Lick number 4, we're going to move on to the A licks now. This is the one that I've gotten the most questions about on this video by far. This is a lick that I learned from Jerry Donahue. I don't think that Mark ever does this in the original, but it's too much fun not to try. So in order to do this lick, you're going to need a Fender-style headstock on your guitar. And the reason that you're going to need that is because of this gap right here between the strings and the wood on the headstock, because what that allows us to do is this thing right here, so I'm going to play open A string, and then I'm going to take 3 fingers and push down on the B string behind the nut until it bends all the way up to an A, like that. And then I'm going to, while it's bent up, I'm going to play an E string, a high E, and let it back down, and then the 2nd fret of the G string. It's called a nut bend. It's a lot of fun. It sounds painful, and it kind of is, but only on your fingers. Lick number 5. This is taken directly from Mark, and this one's a lot of fun. It's another spot where we're going to use this thing. And he does this several times in the song. So we're basically just arpeggiating an A chord way up here in the 12th position, or whatever, I don't know what positions are, 9th, I guess. But that's the lick slowed way down. So that's you're gonna just hammer on, and then hammer on again. This is lick number 6. Doesn't want to make it cry or sing, so we're gonna do a little rock and roll bend here. We're gonna bend the G string up from 7 to 9, and then we're gonna be barring these 2 strings, the 2 high strings with our index finger, and then we're gonna move right up, and we're gonna take our ring finger, and we're gonna bend the B string up another whole step on from 8 to 10, and then play 9 with our pinky on the high E, and then bend it back down, and then do a pull off there. So that one's tricky, and it's a great exercise for practicing your bend control. And like number 7, we're gonna go. This is a really classy sounding one. It's very Spanish, I think. So what this is we're going to slide from 2 to 6 up on the G string, and then play 5 on the high E. That's 10 and 10, and give it a little vibrato. 12 and 12, and then, I'm sorry, 9 and 9, 12 and 12, and then 10 and 10. So if you liked this video, let me know in the comments section, or if you didn't, let me know how I can improve. I'd love to keep making instructional videos in the future. If you have time, please check out the link right here and support me on Patreon. Making these videos takes a lot of time. There's a lot of video editing, as well as time to film, time to write them and decide, how to approach it. Having support is really the only way that I can do that. And I hope you have enjoyed it. Again, if you have any questions, post those as well, and I will do my absolute best to answer them. And good luck.
Coming in out of the rain to hear the jazz roll down.